I mean, like, let's kind of go back to your first question that I segued away from. But what you mentioned was keywords, and they are super important. This is the bit that web designers suck at because they don't understand. Before you do anything with a website, you know, before you do a podcast, before you write content, before you do anything, you should understand what your customers are searching for in what search volume, and you need to do keyword research. And that in itself is a whole rabbit hole. So I won't go down that too fast, but you need to know what they're searching for in what search volume. And that's how you structure everything. So if you think about like URL structure, you know, like Amazon, right? It's amazon.com/movies/music/fashion. You know, then under fashion, you got men's and women's, and then the subcategories of all that. That's how your structure should be. That, you know, so that your fashion page is more important than your men's fashion page, which is more important than the trouser page, you know? And then that dictates how you write your content as well.
Talking with the Experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. My name's Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com, and Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners, and you can find it on all good podcasting streams and on YouTube. And today my guest is Kris Reid, and he's called the coolest guy in SEO. So there we go. We'll find out why he's the coolest guy. Some people start their businesses because of passion, and some start businesses because it seems like the next path, and others, they seem to fall into business ownership and develop a passion for the mature as they go. That's what happened to Kris, the coolest guy in SEO, which is search engine optimization, and the founder of Ada SEO, a company that helps businesses improve their SEO rankings through backlinks, keyword optimization, content, and more. But Kris didn't get to be a leader in the SEO industry by luck. In fact, business books and resources played a large part in Kris's success story. So I'd like to introduce you to Kris, and he can tell you a little bit more about his business journey and how he deals with the SEO.
Hey, Rose.
Welcome,
thank you very much for having me. And I tell you, like, there has never been a better time to be working online, right? You know, it's normally just that have freedom. I mean, you're all the way down in Hobart, and I'm all the way, well, in the Northern Hemisphere in Saigon and Vietnam. And especially during this trying time of COVID, like working online, you know, it's amazing. So I'm very lucky that I fell into this world.
Yeah, no, it's I think for all the trials and tribulations of 2020, I think the digital world is the way to go now. We've actually discovered something that was right under our noses in the first place, but never used.
Yeah, that's right, for sure. And you know, it sucks that so many people had a really tough last year, 2020. But I tell you, like, we had our bumper year of growth. We never grew any faster, and 2021 and setting to eclipse that. You know, it's just more valuable. I mean, you see how rich Bezos got. You know, like Amazon's ridiculous growth. You know. That's the power of having a valuable website, and it's only going to get more so. Like the internet of 10 years from now is going to make us look like, you know, like 10 years ago, Facebook was barely a thing, you know, a little bit before that, Google was barely a thing, you know? So it's like in 10 years time, who knows what it's going to be like, but I can tell you having a digital asset is only going to be worth a hell of a lot more than it is today.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think for all those that say when you're first starting up, not having a website, you know, is not necessary, but that was one of the first things I set up, other than obviously getting my web page, an email address. I couldn't not do a website because I thought, well, people are going to land there and they need to know what I'm doing. And Facebook's not so friendly.
I mean, I regularly have people come to us that have spent, you know, $20,000 on a website that generates them zero business. And it's like, man, you know, because web designers just don't understand marketing. And so they, you know, some of them are really good salesmen and they'll just take people's money. And it's total BS. Like a website, for one, doesn't need to cost that much money. And a website is just like a business card. You know, a business card's useless if it's sitting in your desk drawer. You need to get out there and hand it out to people. And it's the same with the website. It needs to be in front of people. If no one's seeing it, who gives a crap how pretty it is? You know, beautiful websites don't sell things. It's words that sell things. And people need to see those words or it's all for nothing. So
yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
So you really need a digital strategy.
Yeah, I did my own website and I think it's absolutely gorgeous, but I don't get a lot of traffic to it. So yeah, so obviously my SEO is not that great. So and it's just something I need to work on. Otherwise, I'm really happy with it. So.
Rose, like there's a smarter man than me called Larry Page, the co-founder of Google, and he says, revenue cures all problems. And I tell you, I'm not the world's best businessman, but I tell you, we eat our own dog food, we do our own marketing, and we got customers lining up. My calendar is full, and it takes away all the other stress from business. You can screw up anything. Like, just last month we accidentally sent $5,000 to a bank account that we don't own and we lost $5,000. It sucks that we lost $5,000, but it's like, it's not the end of the world. Like when you've got money coming in, you can make stupid business mistakes like that. It wasn't my mistake. I'm very mad at the person that did it, but it's not the end of the world. You live to fight another day. And having a website that generates you consistent business and predictability, oh man, it takes away all of the stress.
Okay, Kriss. So how, getting SEO up and going, what I know you need to use keywords, but how do you actually find the keywords that suit your market? Yeah,
SEO is not easy. If it was easy, then everyone would be doing it. But like all forms of digital marketing are great, right? Like, whether it's Facebook ads or Google ads, they all beat the crap out of any other old school form of marketing. Like, you imagine how much it costs to put on an ad at the Super Bowl. It's ridiculous. And how do you measure the return on that investment? It's impossible. Like, Oatly just spent the plant-based milk just spent a ridiculous amount on that ad, and sure, it got some publicity, but it's like, how do you track how many sales you got from that?
Yeah.
Or if they even did Facebook ads, they could tell exactly how many clicks they got and how many people bought their product. It's just so much better. But one advantage of SEO over every other form of marketing is, for one, you're not interrupting people. People are actively searching for what you're doing rather than you interrupting them when they want to be watching a cat video or chatting with their friends. So you have better intent. They're ready to buy. But also SEO, it's compounding. Facebook ads or even Google ads, as soon as you stop spending, you stop getting. Where SEO, the work that you did last month, you get this month, and you get next month, and you get next year. Like if you work hard on building your website up, you can stop doing everything and it will just keep paying you that dividend month after month after month. So it's a way better return on investment. How you do it though, that's not easy. And one thing that you mentioned at the start when you were introducing me, which was a fabulous introduction, I must say, is the power of reading books. And like, if I could go back and slap my younger self, I've been doing this for 10 years and I knew nothing about business when I started this game. I'm a software engineer. I'm good at computers. That's it. And, it took me a long time to discover the power of books and the power of reading. Now, you can see my library behind me. I pound through books. I just can't get enough of them. And standing on the shoulders of giants will help you grow your business faster than learning all the mistakes the hard way. And there's a fabulous book by an author called Mike Michalowicz. In fact, he's got two books, one called Profit First, about always having a profitable business, which
what we all want. Yeah.
That's exactly the whole point of doing business. And the other one is Clockwork, and it's about how to build a business that doesn't revolve around you. I'm not perfect with that, but I can still go away for a couple of weeks and the business hums along. We've got great managers that deal with all the clients. I'm not really in on that. Really, I just handle our sales and marketing. So, the business doesn't really thrive without me around, but it still hums along nicely. Yep. And the main premise of Clockwork is that you should focus on what your business does. He calls it the queen bee role. Like the queen bee is the most important bee in the hive, and everyone else is there to support the queen bee and her role. And so that's the same in your business. Like, we could do our own accounts, but we use a profit first professional that handles our accounts, and she does a much better job than we'd do it internally. And it allows us to focus on what we do. And so it's the same with, digital marketing. Unless you're an SEO agency, you shouldn't be doing SEO. You should be doing whatever the hell you do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I suck at it.
I talk the talk, but I suck at it compared to our guys. Like I go in the office and they're all nerding out. And I'm like, man, what? Yeah, I'm years behind. It's anything that's hard to do. Like, you have to be an expert. You have to do it every day. Like, it's super valuable. Like, if it was easy to do, then just everyone would do it, and then it wouldn't be valuable again.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Okay, so digital marketing, one of the pros, and there's no cons about digital marketing nowadays, but, how can people get better ROI on their digital marketing?
Yeah, so let's kind of go back to your first question that I segued away from. But what you mentioned was keywords, and they are super important. This is the bit that web designers suck at because they don't understand. Before you do anything with a website, before you do a podcast, before you write content, before you do anything, you should understand what your customers are searching for in what search volume, and you need to do keyword research. And that in itself is a whole rabbit hole, so I won't go down that too fast. But you need to know what they're searching for in what search volume, and that's how you structure everything. So if you think about like URL structure, like Amazon, right? It's amazon.com/movies/music/fashion. Then under fashion, you got men's and women's, and then the subcategories of all that. That's how your structure should be. That so that your fashion page is more important than your men's fashion page, which is more important than the trouser page. And then that dictates how you write your content as well. But that's only one part of the puzzle. Because one of the big issues with the internet is anyone can write any crap they want. And so how does Google know if it's true or not, right? Google not only wants to have a fast search results, they want to make sure that it's accurate and that you have a really good user experience. And because if you got crappy search results, then you're going to stop using Google and you might go to Bing or whatever other search engines exist still. Yeah, exactly. So they need to make sure that they're providing good search results. And one of the ways that they do that is through your authority. So Larry Page, the co-founder of Google, I'm a big fan of his work. So any older listeners who were around in the 90s, you might remember there was a host of other search engines, like,
oh God, yeah, there was like so many, and they were just so dodgy.
Oh, they were all terrible. And Mr. Page thought, well, there's got to be a better way of organizing search results. And he came up with the PageRank algorithm, named after himself. And basically, he surmised that if you write a thesis at university, right, and everyone else references your thesis, well, your work must be really good. And he figured it must be the same with websites. If you have a website and everyone else references your website, so links back to your website, then your content must be really good and you should rank really well. And that's basically the PageRank algorithm. Let me read a headline from this article. This is an article from one of the biggest SEO tools, and it's the headline is 90.63% of content gets no traffic from Google. So over 90% of content on the internet gets no traffic from Google. They analyzed 2 billion pieces of content. So this is a pretty big case study. They break it down even further, that only 0.21% of content, so almost nothing, gets over 1,000 visitors a month. And this is, if you're a super geek, this article is really worth a read. But spoiler alert, the number one reason that your content gets no traffic from Google, that the page doesn't have any backlinks. If you don't have someone linking to your content, then Google doesn't care about you. Google does not trust you, and Google will not rank you. That's the secret of ranking in Google, is that you need to have great content that someone's going to link to. A big reason why I guest on podcasts a lot, like I do several a week. And a big reason that I do that is, for one, it gets my message directly in front of business owners who are our potential customers. So that's good. But also, you're going to give me a juicy backlink. You're going to write, post this on your website and I get a great backlink. And Google sees that and goes, that Kriss guy's pretty cool. his art or website should rank really well because lots of other business owners are ranking to it. And the reason that works so well is because you can't game the system, right? Like I have to take time out of my day. I have to speak to you. Not that it's the worst job in the world, but like it takes time to develop that content, and it takes time to get that backlink and build up your authority. I think it was Warren Buffett that said it takes a lifetime to build a reputation and seconds to destroy it.
Absolutely,
and that's the same with building up a website. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So but you need to do it right.
All right, so I've got to go and get someone to put backlinks so I can backlink to them. Yep, I've got to do that then.
You should be backlinking to all your guests. That will help them out, and you should be getting them to link back to you as well.
I think I'm going to have to do that. That's going to be one of the criteria. Please put my web address on your website.
Yeah. So one of our clients is actually John Lee Dermis from Entrepreneurs on Fire, which is one of the biggest business podcasts on the planet. And he kind of got lucky that he started podcasting before it was cool. He's been doing it for like 10 years. And when we first got our hands on his website, oh my word, it was just, rubbish put on rubbish, 10 years of no strategy and just stuff added to it. And one thing we did is almost 90% of his podcast episodes we de-indexed from Google, which basically says, hey, don't look at these pages, Mr. Google, because they were either thin content and they're eating up your domain authority. So without getting too technical, the more backlinks you have coming to your website builds up your domain authority. And the bigger and stronger your domain authority, the easier you rank for everything. But domain authority is like a cake. The more pages you have, the more slices of that cake you have, and the less domain authority each page gets. And so, we de-index 90% of his pages, like 600 pages or something. And so all of that domain authority gets redistributed to the other pages. And so they pop straight up. And, we can go back and fix those other pages later and re-index them in Google. But there's always going to be new stuff to do that's more valuable. Then the next thing that we did for him was he also guests on lots of podcasts. So we went through all of the podcasts that he's guested on, making sure they're linking to him, correctly, link to the best page, rank it for whatever keyword, and that alone just gave him a bumper boost in traffic.
Wow, well, that's really interesting. I'm going to have to start getting to be a guest on podcasts then.
Yeah, it's a really valuable way. It's the best way that we grow our business. Like for one, that you get your message in front of your ideal customer, but getting those backlinks just really helps you rank your website.
Yeah, that's because I've downloaded something about backlinks. I must confess I haven't read it yet, and I thought it was a bit of just interesting reading, but how you've explained it makes a heap of sense.
It's critical. You can't rank a website without them because you can spend all day long making content, and if no one links to it, Google's going to go, I don't know, maybe it's crap. Why should I link to it? This person's got no authority. Where once you have big domain authority, you can just rank an article. Google trusts you, and it'll rank. Like it's really hard starting out building your reputation with Google, but once Google trusts you, then you can just keep making content, and you'll keep ranking really well.
Yeah, because Google knows everything. I mean,
Well, they try to. I mean, the internet is so vast, though, right? Like our little human brains just can't fathom the size of it, And Google, even with its ridiculous computing power, it can't look at the whole internet all the time. It has to, crawl different parts, and it has to come back to things, right? It has to come back to your website all the time. Because what if it changes? What if you add new content? What if you take away pages? It has to update the index so it knows what to show people. And the more you help Google out, the more it likes you. So if you make your website that it loads fast and it's easy to crawl, and if you tell Google, here's my new web pages, here's the ones we've taken away. If you feed Google all the information, then it becomes your friend, and it goes, right, I'm going to spend more time on Rose's website and rank it better than someone else that doesn't.
Like yours. Well, so Kriss, where can people find you?
So there's a few different ways. You can go to Mr. Google and you can type in the coolest guy in SEO. And I tell you, if you don't see my pretty face, then Google is broken. But another thing you can do is go to our website, which is Ardor SEO. Thankfully, some Australians probably out there, so they can understand my funny accent. But it's spelled Ardor to do something with fiery passion, ARDOR SEO.com/experts. And if you go there, I'll personally do a video review for you. So I'll show you, I'll make a video and I'll show you how many people are searching for your products and service every single month, and show you some simple things that you can change yourself to get your website in front of where these people are actively looking and predictably grow your business. So that's ArdorSEO.com/experts.
Wow. Okay. And so do you have time to do your own podcast?
It is something that we've talked about, and it's in the pipeline. I don't have time to be the host myself, but actually at the moment we're putting on the real estate summit, which is set to be the biggest real estate event in 2021. It's pretty awesome. We have our host is Tony Potts, who has been the host of Access Hollywood for the last 10 years. He hosted the Sundance Film Festival this year. He's a pretty big host. We got the vice president of CBRE, the biggest brokerage in the world, top Fortune 500 company. We got Brenda Turner from Bigger Pockets, the biggest real estate podcast. We got Avery Carl, who is she's going to be one of the top 10 realtors this year in the US. She grew from 53 million last year, 2019, to 158 million in 2020. And she had a baby at the same time. She's such an inspiring woman. It's like you over triple your business and have a baby. Like, man, she's unstoppable. So yeah, anyone that's listening that's in real estate, check out the realestateMastersSummit.com, which I'll send you the details. Yeah. It's a completely free event. Launches on the 1st of May. It's realestateMastersSummit.com. And yeah, there's 42 of the world's best real estate experts speaking there.
Yeah, check Chris's LinkedIn page too, because it's all splashed across there. Because I stalked him yesterday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Rose. I'm glad you saw it.
So have you written any books, Kris? And with all your knowledge, you must have written something.
To tell you the truth, I worked with a writer. In fact, I've worked with about 3 writers to publish my own book. We got really close to publishing it last year, and then I just wasn't happy with it, and so I didn't put it out. And our biggest problem, the whole reason for someone like myself to put out a book is for lead generation. And we don't need more leads. Like our business is growing like gangbusters. Like getting more leads and more clients is not our biggest problem. Unfortunately, we have a service-based business where the more clients that we bring on, the more team members we have. Yeah. Our biggest problem is recruitment and training staff fast enough. Like we're even working with recruitment agencies to we've got full-time recruiters, but we're working with recruitment agencies to get us people and train them fast enough to keep up with their demand. So once we have that problem solved, then I'll probably get back to the book eventually.
All right. Well, it's been lovely chatting with you today. Have you got any last words of wisdom for our listeners?
Really, 2 things. One, read books. You'll just save yourself years of heartache and just learn so much faster. But also, the power of investing into digital marketing in your own website is you won't believe how easy it makes business. Like when you've got a full pipeline of new leads coming in, like we've got a sales funnel that filters out people so that I'm only ever speaking to really qualified leads, people that have proactively sought me out for one, have already seen me as an expert. And I know that they've got the money that they can afford our services. So it filters through people that, no one ever stands me up. Like I don't have calls booked and no one's there, which, is a waste of your time. I'm only speaking to really, really qualified leads that convert at a fabulous rate because they already know what we do. They're the business owner. They are the right person. They're our perfect customer. And that's what a really powerful website can do for any business. And man, when you understand that, like, you'll wish that you had been doing it years ago.
All right, Kriss, thank you so much for speaking with me today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I've actually learned something again. I seem to learn something new every time I have a new guest on, so thank you for that.
Pleasure, Rose.
All right, you take care.